Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining us today on this special day. We are gathered here today for a birth, obviously not of a person, but of a vision. We are gathered here to celebrate the launch of inaugural issue of Curiosita, a science-based interdisciplinary online magazine. Your presence here is a great honor to us and adds meaning to this special occasion. Myself, Dr. Anusri Pandey, Associate Professor to Technomen Salt Lake, and proud to be an Associate Editor of this magazine. Let me begin with a few words about Curiosita. Launched from New Jersey, USA around this time last year, Curiosita is an online magazine dedicated to the harmonious convergence of science and arts. It seeks to foster thoughtful inquiry, creativity, and dialogue across disciplinary boundaries. As previously told, we are gathered here for a birth of a vision. But a vision of this magnitude needs a guiding mind, a thinker of profound depth, and we are fortunate enough to have with us Professor Dipankar Home. To provide with deeper insights into the vision, mission, and distinctive features of Curiosita, I now invite Professor Dipankar Home, our Chief Editor, to address the gathering. It's my privilege to introduce Professor Dipankar Home, an eminent Indian theoretical physicist from Bose Institute, Kolkata, and our Chief Editorial Advisor who had envisioned the idea for this magazine. He has pioneered research work on foundations of quantum mechanics in India and is internationally well known for his various fundamental contributions. Apart from being associated with Bose Institute, he is currently involved in cutting-edge collaborative quantum frontier research programs with physicists at University College London, Raman Research Institute Bangalore, as well as visiting scientist at Wilczek Quantum Center, Shanghai. Sir, please.
Welcome you all to the launching of our project Curiosita. I would like to emphasize that Curiosita is not going to be just a magazine. This is the beginning of an enterprise where we are trying to promote essentially what we call borderless science. So our entire project is not only through magazine but with various other creative means by harnessing the online platform adequately. For this, we have a number of ideas, fresh ideas in pipeline. They will be they'll be gradually unfolded and put into action. From today onwards, only the magazine is going live. It will be live always, means it will not be like traditional print magazines coming out in monthly or quarterly. It will be on live, and the materials will be constantly updated. So the authors who are writing the features will have the flexibility of contributing whenever they are ready, with no fixed guidelines about 2 monthly or 3 monthly. Most importantly, it will be a forum for ongoing interaction between the readers and the writers. For that, we are also trying to devise creative means for which our managing editor is looking into them and will say a few words. And another highlight of this magazine is going to be that this is going to be the first organized enterprise towards promoting science communication between India and China. So there will be a Chinese edition of this magazine. The inaugural issue itself, all the articles will be translated, are being translated into Chinese, and it will go on live, and also articles will be commissioned for China. So this will also provide a forum where India and China, because China is now well recognized, our neighboring country, which is now a super power in science and technology. And as I realized during my last visit to China, they are exploring real original means of science communication. So in that way, Indian effort and Chinese effort can complement each other in their style. So that is an interesting and novel area we are exploring. There is no other forum now available for this purpose. The other important point I want to clarify, that when you start looking at the magazine from today onwards, as the magazine is going live on the website, you can click and then follow the contents. Initially a reader may be puzzled, because we have the idea of a magazine being compartmentalized into, say, address to school students, address to college students, address for experts, and what we call a broad category called popular science magazine. But Curiosita defies this traditional partitioning. So it is there. There are all kinds of articles are there, ranging from those introductory discussions of basic concepts for high school students onwards to very advanced topics, the cutting edge research areas. And also, importantly, we'll have a lot of archival material from history of science, in fact, words from the discoverers themselves. So just to give you a glimpse, just 2 more minutes I will take. That is that we have in this issue itself 2 of the most powerful and brilliant minds of this century science, Roger Penrose and Anthony Leggett. We have their exclusive interviews for Curiosita. They have supported and blessed our effort, and these exclusive interviews deal with various issues we hope will be of interest to a wide range of readers. Moreover, just to give you an example, the way we seek to be different from others, this year it was the last year was the 100 years of quantum mechanics. So our way of celebrating 100 years of quantum mechanics in the magazine has been, we have a special Heisenberg gallery. Werner Heisenberg was the architect of quantum mechanics, and we have a gallery here in this issue with archival material with the courtesy of the Heisenberg family. His rare writings, sketches from his school days, the piano piece he played with his sons. So this is the piece you are hearing a glimpse, which will be loaded in the inaugural issue of Curiosita. It's Beethoven's composition, movement number 2 and 4, piano trio, and where he played piano. Heisenberg, he was a very professional pianist, and his 2 sons play violin and cello. So it is a rare piece. It was recorded in a private gathering, which Heisenberg family has kindly provided to Curiosita. We have been interacting with them, and they provided us also those rare materials which you can find there. So with these words, now to say other things about Curiosita, I ask Kaushik Sengupta, the managing editor, to speak, and you may say a few words about Kaushik.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your kind insights and visions. Now, a theory must be built, but it needs an architect of the real, a mind that can translate vision into vessel. To nurture this, we, the Curiosita, are fortunate enough to have with us Dr. Kaushik Sengupta, our managing editor. Next, I am pleased to introduce Dr. Kaushik Sengupta, our managing editor. Dr. Sengupta is a trained experimental particle physicist and a software engineer by profession. He has worked with several reputed organizations, including IBM, and brings a unique interdisciplinary perspective to the magazine. Now, you may be curious about the music that at the beginning we are playing. Okay, so don't worry, that curiosity will be come up with our next speaker. Sir, please.
Thank you, Anushree. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome. As Anushree just said, my name is Kaushik Sengupta, and I have the privilege to be the managing editor of Curiosita magazine. It indeed is a joy to gather here today to celebrate the inauguration of a project that has grown from a simple idea into a vibrant, collaborative effort. So let me begin with a question which many of you may have. Why do we need another magazine? Aren't there already many of them? The honest answer is not quite like this one. As Professor Holm already highlighted, Curiosity occupies a space that is rare, perhaps even unique. Allow me to share a few points. I'm not going to go into very much details, but I want to make a few points. What makes Curiosity different? It is a magazine for every kind of curious mind. It is not a one-size-fits-all publication. It brings together a remarkable range of material from accessible introductions for high school and college students to deep reflective conversations with Nobel laureates and thought leaders across disciplines. Whether you're taking your first steps into a subject or exploring its furthest edges, you will find something that speaks for you. The other important thing is you don't have to read all the articles in Curiosity. You will find audio links. I mean, the articles are read, and when you are driving, when you are relaxing, when you are probably traveling, you can just go to our website, hit the listen button, and start listening to the article. Okay, this is a defining feature. Not many of our magazines have this feature yet. This is one thing we are very proud of. The other thing Professor Holm already mentioned, that Curiosity is a home for borderless science. Curiosity stands at the intersection of science and arts. It is a space where ideas travel freely across disciplines, where readers are invited not just to absorb information, but to think, to question, and participate in large conversations about science, culture, and society. There are many, many reasons why Curiosity is unique. I'm not going to go into the details, but one thing I want to emphasize, it's a future plan, and this is about dialogue. Each year, we plan to host an online forum with our authors and invited dignitaries, moderated by leading thinkers in their fields. These conversations will extend the life of the magazine beyond its scope. Lastly, I want to say that our current issue is available free of charge. You don't have to pay anything to look at the magazine. And everybody has a phone, right? I would ask you to go to this URL, curiositymagazine.com, and you'll see how it's coming up right now. Yeah, I'll ask you to go to this site and take a look at it yourself. So, but as with every meaningful endeavor, sustaining this platform requires resources. Curiosity is independent and reader supported. We invite our community to help us preserve our editorial freedom and our commitment to thoughtful inquiry and creative exchange. There is a donate button at the top of each page, and I request you, if you like what we have done, just press the button and donate to our cause. That will sustain our efforts. please do that today if you can. So before I conclude, I would like to introduce someone who really needs no introduction. His name is Professor Ajoy Ghatak, and Professor Ghatak is a well-wisher of Curiosita, and it is my honor to introduce Professor Ghatak. He is a distinguished professor of the National Academy of Sciences, India, and one of the most influential educators in quantum mechanics and optics in India. A former IIT Delhi professor, he founded the Institute's Fiber Optics Research Group and authored landmark textbooks in quantum mechanics and optics that continue to guide students even today. At 85, he remains active in teaching and outreach, and IIT Delhi has recognized his lifelong contributions by establishing the Professor Ajoy Kumar Ghatak Chair in Photonics. His impact lives on through generations of students working in photonics across India and across the world. He has many honors, including the Sang Soo Lee Award, the SPIE Educator Award, the Esther Hoffman Beller Medal, the Galileo Galilei Award, and the Bhatnagar Prize. In 2025, he was also named to the Quantum 100. Again, as I said, Professor Ghatak is a well-wisher, a dear well-wisher. Although he could not join us today due to unavoidable circumstances, he has sent his blessings through a recorded message. Anindo, will you play it now? And after that, I will invite Professor Shomajit Roy to share a few words here. Go ahead. Technical difficulties.
Dr. Anindya Day. I'm so glad that you all, along with other colleagues, are bringing out this beautiful science magazine, Curiosita.
Technical difficulties?
Which aims to transform our
Give us a
interaction
moment,
with
please.
Science through its multifaceted strategy. I understand that the magazine, Dr. Dipankar, whom Dr. Kaushik Sengupta and Dr. Anindya Day. I'm so glad that you all, along with other colleagues, are bringing out this beautiful science magazine, Curiosita, which aims to transform our interaction with science through its multifaceted strategy. I understand that the magazine would cater to a diverse audience, ensuring that every reader, regardless of their background, finds value and inspiration within its pages. This is particularly extremely important for our young science students in schools and colleges who are extremely concerned about their future plans. I thought I should first mention that in 1817, more than 200 years back, the Hindu College in Calcutta was formally opened. This was actually the first college in the modern sense in India. The foundation committee of the college was headed by Raja Ram Mohan Roy, who along with 6 others donated their personal wealth to establish the college. Raja Ram Mohan Roy was a social reformer and is often referred to as the father of Indian Renaissance. And in 1855, Hindu College was named as Presidency College. And as we all know, numerous outstanding persons, including people like Nobel laureate Amartya Sen, had studied in that college. After that, many colleges were established, including Serampur College, which was founded in 1818, and Agra College was founded in 1823 by the Sanskrit scholar Pandit Gangadhar Shastri. And I may mention that I had the privilege of studying in Agra College in the early 50s. In 1857, 3 universities were set up by the British in Bombay, Calcutta and Madras, similar to the structure of University of London. This was actually the starting point of science education in the modern sense in India. After that, many universities like Allahabad and many others were set up. And then, inspired by Swami Vivekananda, Jamshedji Tata donated his personal wealth of about 30 lakhs to create the Indian Institute of Science at Bangalore, which today is one of the premier institutes for research in India. I would also like to mention that in 1869, about 150 years back, the great visionary Mahendralal Sarkar, who was a medical doctor, wrote an article in the Calcutta Journal of Medicine. The title of the article was On the Desirability of a National Institution for the Cultivation of Sciences by the Natives of India. We were very much under the British rule. In his article, Mahendralal Sarkar wrote, and this is extremely important, that the prevailing backwardness of the country is due to backwardness of science, and that the solution was in the vigorous pursuit of the sciences by original research. As you all would know, Mahendralal Sarkar was a visionary and a philanthropist, and he established, using his personal wealth and donations, the Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science at 210 Bowbazar Street in Calcutta. And in that institute, C.V. Raman did his Nobel Prize winning research work, which came to be known as Raman effect, for which Raman received the 1930 Nobel Prize in Physics. That was indeed the first Nobel Prize in Science in Asia. Today, this institute, namely the Indian Association for the Cultivation of Sciences, is supported by our Department of Science and Technology and is one of the premier organizations involved in research and development. India became independent in 1947, and after independence, because of the base that was created in the 19th century and early part of the 20th century, India put a lot of emphasis on higher education and research, which has resulted in many significant achievements in science and technology. Shortly after our independence, as you all would know, many universities were set up. Council of Scientific and Industrial Research was also established with a large chain of laboratories scattered throughout our country. There was also a chain of laboratories associated with defense research. And then the nuclear energy program was started by Homi Bhabha. And then came the establishment of ISRO, which stands for Indian Space Research Organization. In February 2017, ISRO launched record-breaking 104 satellites from a single rocket from its satellite launch center in Sriharikota. Then we had the Green Revolution, which transformed India into a food surplus country. White Revolution in producing milk for all citizens. And many other revolutions that took place in our country, including the fact that we are now the largest producer of vaccines. And we also have a major solar energy program. So we have achieved a lot. And all such achievements mentioned require enormous indigenous efforts and the existence of a scientific temper towards research and development. This has happened because in India, we in the past have put great emphasis on education and scientific research, and also acceptance of new technology. However, although we have achieved so much, but we are still a poor country and we are still far behind countries like China. Today, 25% of our population is below the poverty line. That is a staggering 300 million people, almost the population of the United States. Therefore, the statement that was made by Mahendralal Sarkar in 1869 that the prevailing backwardness of the country is due to backwardness of science and that the solution was in vigorous pursuit of the sciences by original research remains valid even today. There has to be a greater emphasis on scientific research and adaptation of new technologies. We can see the tremendous benefits that we have got from adapting the computer. At one point of time, we thought that many jobs will be lost. But what great achievements we have been able to make with the use of computers and related technologies, from train reservations to almost every Indian having a cell phone and internet connection to free phone calls. Then companies like Uber and Ola have created thousands of jobs and great opportunities. Thus, one cannot overemphasize the necessity of a scientific awareness in our country and also adapting to new technologies and keeping abreast of new developments in research and development. And a magazine like Curiosity will go a long way to create opportunities and awareness of all that is available to an ordinary citizen. This makes me extremely happy, and I would like to wish Curiosity and all associated with the magazine great success. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Ghotok. Although you can't hear our voice, but a great thanks for your such informative words from all of us. Next, it is my pleasure to introduce a scientist whose name is synonymous with clarity of thoughts, depth of scholarship, and a lifelong commitment to nurturing curiosity, Professor Gautam Lahiri. A distinguished inorganic chemist and revered teacher, Professor Lahiri has shaped generations of students through his work at IIT Bombay and through his pioneering contributions to coordination chemistry, electron transfer processes, and small molecule activation. His scientific insights have not only advanced the field but have inspired countless young minds to ask better questions, the very spirit that Curiosity celebrates. What makes Professor Lahiri truly special is his ability to turn complex ideas into accessible knowledge, reminding us that science grows when curiosity is encouraged and shared. As we launch today Curiosity Magazine, a platform dedicated to wonder, exploration, and the joy of learning, it is deeply fitting to have with us a scholar who embodies ideas. Please join me warmly welcoming Professor Gautam Lahiri. Sir, please be on the stage.
Well, hope I am audible. Okay. Good afternoon, honorable guests, our editors, readers. Okay. Okay. I hope it is better. Okay. Well, honorable guests, editors, and contributors, readers, friends, ladies and gentlemen. It's my great honor and privilege to be the part of this launching program of Curiosity, this newly launched magazine. I have, just in the morning, I have seen the outlook of this magazine, and which has impressed me a lot to come over here and to share my views little bit about this particular magazine. Now, in the beginning itself, I'm really amazed to see the name of the magazine. And I was asking my friend Shomojit, what is the background of this name? Very unusual name, but very meaningful. You see that if we try to understand our scientific journey, those who are practicing science or who would be practicing science in due course of time, particularly the young students and generation, that scientific discoveries, invention, what we think, what we talk about, it is essentially based on the fact of the curiosity. If there is no curiosity, if there is no imaginative mindset, I don't think one can discover or develop any good things for the society, for the benefit of the humanity. Now, if you try to understand that there are three simple words which makes it possible to discover or invent the great things in the global sense. The three words means what I define it as what, why, and how. Now, as a scientific practitioner, once we start thinking of doing something, the first question comes, what to do? And the second question comes, if I plan to do so, what for? If I don't get the answer for what for, then I should not pursue that idea. It's meaningless as far as at that particular moment is concerned. But once I am convinced, or we are convinced that this is for what we are planning to do, now the important question comes how to pursue it, how to achieve it. So, but all these 3 points, if we put together on a particular line, what you will be seeing, the background is the curiosity. So that is why the deep meaning of, if I understand correctly, of this magazine, Curiosity. Now, all of you must notice that India is in a great changing mode. When we were students 40 years back or 50 years back, around that time, the science was, we used to study science from a different angle. But today when we pursue the science or read the science, our whole dimension has got changed over the last 3, particularly if I can concentrate on the fact of 3 decades. Okay? So a lot of interdisciplinary things have come into the picture. Now the compartmentalized or a very specialized way we don't perform the science today. Now once I go through the Curiosity, that magazine, what I see, it covers many aspects of science. It is very much needed. I'm giving you one example which may impress you. The teaching pattern in our universities, IITs, IISERs, everything has got changed a lot over the last couple of decades. So besides the conventional way of teaching, say if I assume the chemistry, being an inorganic chemist, if I put the chemistry in the front line, earlier days we used to teach in a compartmental wise, very specialized wise. But now we teach in such a way so that we can link different branches of science, not only chemistry. For example, physics is a completely different area, but when we teach today's chemistry, we try to find out how one could link physics and chemistry together. Okay, for example, physics has a lot of theories, a lot of ideas, but unfortunately they don't have any molecule. For molecule, they need to come back or to the chemistry area. Okay? And similarly, to understand the physical meaning of the molecules or the materials, we need to go back to the physical concepts. Similarly, in our life processes, when we go to the biology or our life sciences, we need to understand the chemistry a lot, the biochemistry. Without biochemistry, the whatever way the cell biology, this microbiology, all sort of things, but the strong background of chemistry and also physics would help. What I am trying to mean through this, that interlinking or interdisciplinary aspects between the different aspects of scientific events need to put on the same platform. And I see that this journal has similar kind of approaches to put different areas together so that one can go through it and one can understand and one can learn from the single point. Okay. Now, the one more thing what I would like to highlight over here, that there are so many journals are available in the market, I should say that way also. It's a commercial thing, right? Now, but mostly I see the very specialized way. Okay, one particular topic is dealing by one particular journal, or one particular area is being covered by one set of journals and other set of journals, etc. But this journal, what I see, that on a single platform, it tries to bring many items together so that it is rather easier for the readers to gain knowledge from a particular journal. So that makes a difference as far as this journal is concerned. So with these few words, I would like to also add one point, that what I love to see, that in the future course of time, this magazine must cover one dedicated or special issue dealing only with the Indian scientist. We are aware of the great scientists in a global sense, but we must educate ourselves in a very big way, particularly towards the younger generation, what contribution Indians have made towards the growth of scientific domain over sitting in India, and the young generation in India, what they are pursuing today. That would probably be very helpful to the students, those who are now plus 10, plus 12, or first year BSc or MSc, etc., etc. It will be very useful. This is one point. Second point, in the today, the science has been divided into two streams. One we call the basic science, other we call the applied science. Now, there is a continuous conflict between these two areas. Some of we prefer to go only for the applied areas, and some of we prefer to go only for the basic areas. But one should not forget, these are complementary. If I try to go for applied only, I cannot go much beyond a particular limit unless my basic is very strong. So that kind of things need to be addressed, keeping in mind our younger generation. So both basic and applied are very important. From service point of view, what I see, the many people go for the applied area, nanotechnology, AI, and what's not. That is very important. We need to do it. But sometimes we do it in a mechanical sense, which doesn't help the society in the long run. As someone said that China is far ahead of us, but story was not like that in 90s when you were the PhD student. Very few Chinese papers we used to see in the renowned journals, in chemistry-wise I'm talking about. But what we see today, journal is flooded with the Chinese papers. The Americans are relatively at the backbencher, I should say, relatively, not really. So if China can do it, we can also do it. We may need another couple of decades probably to reach to that point, but there should be a beginning. India is trying the level best to catch up, but it requires a lot more. We need to go a long pathway, but I think this journal would be very helpful in helping the students to understand and to make up their scientific mind, how to proceed on, how to make a difference, and how to contribute towards the growth of this great nation. I wish the grand success of this journal in the years to come. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your inspiring words, especially for our students. And that part, it's very informative or very inspiring that what, how, and when that defines curiosity, and that given us a different definition to our magazine as well, Curiosita. Thank you, sir. Thank you for that. Next, in continuation, I would like to introduce Professor Dr. Soumyajit Roy. Professor Roy is a leading chemist, innovator, and science storyteller in IISER, Kolkata. His work spans soft oxometalloids, CO2 conversion, sustainable catalysis, and breakthrough technologies such as OM redox oxygen maker and the Raffitic art authentication platform. He is a fellow of the Royal Society of Chemistry, Royal Society of Arts and Enterprises, West Bengal Academy of Science and Technology, and council member of the American Chemical Society. Today, as a senior editor of Curiosita, he brings together curiosity, creativity, and rigor to inspire a new generation of scholars. I now invite Professor Soumyajit Roy to say a few words with us.
A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, my dear students, and I take a seat, I think that's easier. Yeah. It's indeed a great honor and a pleasure and a privilege to be part of this journey, what we call, what Dipankar has mentioned, Kaushik has mentioned, and later Gautam has mentioned, the journey towards curiosity. Now, I see a lot of students, and they are from my school. So for them, I would like to mention a few things, and there are students also from my institution. So in order to become a scientist, for example, it's not just the curiosity that opens up windows. It's curiosity, it's wonder, it's then creativity, and then harnessing all this together builds a golden triangle. And that triangle is perhaps the key theme that we at Curiosita want to touch and grow with. When we look at new possibilities, when a child looks at the night sky and asks, why is the sky dark? That's where curiosity begins. That's where perhaps the journey of every child begins. When we culminate into questions like why the sky is blue, why the milk is white, why we have periodicity in days and nights, it is these questions that requires then the next set of imagination. And as Einstein once said, that imagination is perhaps one of the strongest components. And with this theme, I would like to change tone and talk about arts, because Curiosita has a unique avenue for synthesis of science and art. Those of you who have time and who would like to have a look, I invite you to have a look at this curiositamagazine.com, and you will see beautiful articles on synthesis of science and art. And we invite you, the future generations, to come up and contribute and read and ideate on how synthesis of science and art can take place. As a matter of fact, you know, we as scientists, when we pursue science, in those pursuits, what is important is objective rigor. But then you need imagination to put objective rigor to a closure and synthesize and analyze your thesis. Likewise, you also need a sense of wonder. Once one famous physicist, Professor Richard Feynman, in one of his beautiful poems said, "We I a bunch of an atom in the universe, wonder at wondering." So this wonder at wondering, if you look at yourself, if you think of yourself, and if you ask the question that traditional Indian wisdom has always asked, who am I? Then you will perhaps see we are combination of physics and chemistry, of motion and flow, of charge balance, transfers, and that's how we come into being, into consciousness. So Curiosita touches on all these aspects. I would also like to invite you to have a look at this type of wondering articles. The article, for example, where it is a question that has been asked, have you wondered how plants, they take up the sap while there is a pull from gravity? And this was discovered by none other than the Dutch chemist Van 't Hoff in early 1900. So the botanist, what he does or she does is put some salt or sugar in the solution and prevents your plant from wilting. This is the synthesis of biology, physics, and chemistry. Why? Because you have on one hand the physics of osmosis, you have the chemistry of flow, of concentration gradients, and then you have the biology of life. And finally, I would like to conclude by highlighting some of the works of this year's Nobel Prize, which has been awarded to Susumu Kitagawa, Omar Yagi, and Richard Robson. So I would like to quote the inspiration by Professor Susumu Kitagawa. He was impressed and influenced by a work of an ancient Chinese philosopher, Chuang-Tzu. Now Chuang-Tzu talked of very fundamental philosophy. He said, nothing is useless. And this is somewhat similar to the dialectics of opposites. So he said, nothing is useless. In the uselessness of something, you find the utility of that very thing which you were thinking as useless. And this was quoted by famous physicist Yukawa, a Japanese physicist, in his book. Professor Kitagawa, as a student like you, or maybe a little bit older than you, was inspired by this sentence, that usefulness of the useless. And that's how he started creating value. When people in chemistry thought these type of polymers, these type of coordination polymers, these type of metal organic frameworks, they are pretty meaningless, pretty useless. People would throw them down the sink. People would laugh if even one thinks of doing research on that. That's how, and that's when Professor Susumu Kitagawa picked up that research. And then with painstaking research, he amplified, modified, studied, and the inspiration was always the same inspiration of Chuang-Tzu, that what is the utility of a pot? The beauty of a pot is not on the soil or the clay that forms the pot, but it is the hollow emptiness inside. That useless emptiness becomes useful. So with this, I would like to come to the conclusion. What I have tried to talk to you is never consider anything useless. Listen to your heart, follow imagination, follow with wonder, and be creative, and then do touch base with Curiosita, because Curiosita has a lot in offer for you, and we at Curiosita would also wait for future you to contribute and to enrich us with your thoughts, with your minds. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Roy. As we are running out of time, next I would like to introduce Dr. Shourodeep Shashmal. He is a quantum physicist working on the cutting-edge areas of quantum information and technology. He is presently associated with the Institute of Fundamental and Frontier Sciences, UESTC, University of Electronic Science and Technology, China. Dr. Shashmal, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. It gives me a great pleasure to speak today at the launch of Curiosity here at the Kolkata International Book Fair, a place where I always believe that curiosity has always felt quite at home. I will quickly brief about one section of our magazine which is very close to our heart, that is the tutorial section, created mainly for the younger minds like from class 8 to 12 roughly, or the early graduate student. And let me begin by saying what this section is not. It is not about passing any examination, or it is not about cracking any competitive exam like IIT JEE, West Bengal JEE, AIIMS, and lot of competitive exams are there. And it's certainly not about shortcuts or tricks or very memorizing formulas easily. What it is about instead is learning how to think like a scientist, how to approach science, how you can build your scientific attitude. Very often students are told what to study. In our education system or in our syllabus, in school, you always face this, that what to study. There are a lot of books and you have to read it. But we are not trained how to approach science. This section, this tutorial section of this magazine tries to fill that gap. It encourages young readers to ask questions, to doubt sensibly, and to reason carefully, and to enjoy the process of understanding, even when things are not immediately clear to us. The article covers various fields of science like physics, chemistry, mathematics, statistics, biology, artificial intelligence, and many more. But they are not written like a textbook or exam guide or any syllabus. They are written as conversations, clear explanation, honest thinking, and curiosity at the center to build the scientific attitude. Just like what Professor Lahiri emphasized, that we are living in an era where all those different areas of science needs to be put into a common platform, and this tutorial section provides that opportunity. We want students to see science not as a something to fear, but as a way of looking at the world. To realize that being confused is not a weakness. It is often the starting point of learning. And to feel comfortable saying, I don't know yet, but I would like to understand. At a time when everything feels very competitive and fast-paced and rushed, Curiosity hopes to offer a slower place, a place to pause, think, and enjoy ideas. So, as you walk through the book fair today, surrounded by thousands of voices and books, we invite you to browse through the curiositymagazine.com, open a page, and allow yourself to be curious again. After all, modern science reminds us that uncertainty is fundamental. So keep calm and be uncertain. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you to all speakers for their most insightful words and vision shared with us. Finally, in the concluding part, I'd like to acknowledge other members of our editorial team whose contributions are central to the Curiosita's growth and success. They include Dr. Onindo De, an award-winning physicist, educator at Kolkata's Hindu School and associate editor of Curiosita; Roshun Chaudhary, a seasoned media professional and social media manager of Curiosita; Krishnendu Roy, a software engineer and web artisan of Curiosita; Kavita Oiko, a skilled application developer at IBM Kolkata, and a narrative designer for our Curiosita. Now, before ending up, Professor Dipankar Home will share a few words with you, and then we conclude our session.
Thank you all the speakers and our guests, our respected guests, for their words of wisdom, encouragement, and importantly some valuable suggestions they have given, which we have noted. Our magazine is evolving, and it is the dynamic nature of our magazine that is our strength, I think. So we'll love to experiment, and more importantly, we want to tread the unbroken, the paths which have not been taken, so uncharted roads. So that's why in every front we are planning articles, and also this entire idea of the magazine is conceived in a new way. So there will be, we would stress more on reader-writer interaction. Usually you just give comments, and the writer, either he comments, he or she ignores. But we will devise online meetings, seminars, so that the writers cannot escape those comments. They have to address if the readers really raise some. So in this way, we want to generate discussions, debates. So our final aim is to provide online platform for healthy debates, for healthy skepticism, which is now becoming a rarity in today's world. You all understand what I mean, nationally and globally. So that's why this will provide an online platform for debates on not only scientific topics per se, but science-related aspects, science society aspects, and also scientific way of looking at social issues and so on. So the whole range of Curiosita is much broader. So this is today the beginning of our journey, and we would request you all to go back to your homes and spread news about this magazine that we have just launched. It will be constantly updated, you watch out. In fact, day to day it will be updated. And there will be scope for all your comments, suggestions. So whatever further critical observations and comments you have, please write. That is the problem in India. We want to get not trivial comments. I like it, I dislike it, I hate you, not hate, like, dislike. These are 2-3 dead terms today. We want constructive suggestions, constructive comments, healthy criticism. And most importantly, spread news about the magazine the way we are trying, and try to get inputs. Invite your colleagues you think will be suitable to write articles for. We appreciate very much some of you who have written in spite of your heavy schedule and come to our function, like Professor Ashish Lahiri, I can see him. We would love to hear your words of advice, but our time is over. So we conclude here, and hoping very much we will meet again soon. It will not be, but we will have occasional meetings, but this time the meetings will be online. Of course, it is our online magazine. And occasionally we will have such offline meetings, and in a form which will be different from the usual seminars or discussions. I am not divulging anymore. Only 2 aspects I am stressing. One is about the science-art interface and about the sports science. These 2 aspects, we are aiming some immediate ventures which have not been attempted earlier by any science magazine or any science popularization aspects. So watch out for this in our magazine. There will be announcements. Thank you very much again for coming.
Thanks, sir.